All right, it's hump day, party time, Mom. Another episode of the Chad Prather Show. Nothing to be excited about here. Nothing to look forward to, Sara Gonzales. Nothing at all. I don't know why you're smiling like a Cheshire cat over there grinning. Yeah, don't you talk about it.
Yeah.
We're in the mothership, Studio 22. That's right, the Puppet Master Mark. Let's love Brandon. The mothership. We're about to upload it into the mothership. Stuff to get into. Wanted to get into it yesterday, but we pre-taped yesterday. But we're going to talk about it today. That's the beauty of the Chad Prather Show. We come in after all the news cycles have run the big stories and talk about it after the fact. We wait and give.
We are on it.
See, breaking news is never accurate.
Well, that is actually somewhat true.
Breaking news is never accurate. We wait for all the cards to land and fall and and after the dust settles, we come in and we go, well, I can tell you right now, this is what happened. There's my underwear right there.
What is going on?
Put them back up there. Put them back up there. I want to tell y'all something about this.
What? Wait.
Put that picture back up there. Yeah. So those Undertack underwear right there. I want you to look at those, Sarah. The Sierra Whiskey Company.
Those look
Undertack
familiar.
underwear. So they're a new sponsor.
Okay.
And, here I am talking about our show being amazing, and all of a sudden there's a bunch of dick just flashed up on the stage. I don't wear underwear. You know this.
I do.
You know this.
Not from personal experience.
Yeah, no, not from that. But I just don't wear underwear.
They
brought me back into the underwear game.
Really?
I wear underwear again.
Because of
that. Their new company. Swear to God, I'm telling you the truth.
Thank you so much, Sierra Whiskey.
Yeah.
We all appreciate it.
I mean, underwear is underwear.
Yeah.
I promise you, I've never in my life. This is an experience.
Because it's so soft, or what?
It's just all of it.
It cups
the cuppage of the dinguses. This is the cuppage of the dingus. I don't want to be Kanye and be all anti-Semitic, but the cuppage of the dingus is verklempt. But yes, it's amazing stuff. And the way the little pee hole is on the front.
Yeah.
See, guys have a pee hole. There's a slit on your underwear.
Do you use it?
I do.
Okay. I always wonder, it seems like it'd be just as easy to just pull it down.
That depends. If it's cold.
Because you could get pee on it.
It's cold. Not with this Undertack underwear.
Wow.
It's amazing. We laughed nervously. All right. Well, let's talk about somebody that's not wearing underwear, men's underwear. And that's these drag queens. And they're pissing me off.
Yeah,
me too. We talked for the last 2 days about the Ulta ad. And I tweeted yesterday, I was like, these guys can't even find a clitoris. But yet they're going to pretend to be women. They certainly can't find their own clitoris.
Well, that would be because it doesn't exist.
Yeah, but he could be a mother. He can't find his clitoris, but he could be a mother.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
No, not that either.
Point to your body and show me where your ovaries are. But you can't do that. So, this drag queen thing, you went last week. And sometimes I worry about you because you're getting into this thing with the wigs and the costumes and the...
I just don't want to be found out. I have to blend in.
I understand. Well, you go in pretty hot costumes, and I'm like, all right, your husband's getting a fun little treat at the end of the at the night. But
we reuse them later.
End of the day. So you got multi-purpose wigs and costumes. But you were in Roanoke on Sunday?
No, this was Plano, Texas.
So why are they always on Sunday? It's a great question. These family-driven drag shows, or family-friendly
drag shows. Yeah, a lot of them are on Sundays. Yeah. This one, there may have been ones on Saturday and Sunday.
Now, what I try to explain to people is you have to go undercover or be unseen completely to be an activist in this deal.
Right.
Because once you're found out, they know you. They see you coming.
Yeah.
And so, me showing up in the cowboy hat is ineffective.
Right.
That's not an effective ploy for us to expose what the hell they're doing.
They would root you out immediately.
So I have people who are always sending me messages, well, you're not there getting involved. It can be hard for me to do.
Right.
But I am using other methods to do that.
You also spent 18 months of your life getting involved by running for governor, which is certainly far more than
most.
Right.
Yeah, and bringing light to a lot of things.
Right.
But, okay, so here we are. You go to this thing the other day, This is, at this point, getting some major national attention. You released the video yesterday morning. Let's just play the clip, guys. Go ahead. Now, this is a guy in drag, dancing, flopping the dress up. There is a phallic thing hanging between his legs. It's a cat.
It's a cat head.
Cat's head.
Of course.
There's a toddler behind him. There's, a family, a group of women. There's a toddler there. Looks to be maybe 3 years old. And they're holding up their tipping dollar bills.
Yeah, she was tipping at one point, and of course she's tipping as her mom or whoever is holding her hand out for her, waving the dollar bill around.
Yeah.
Clearly the toddler's decision to tip these drag queens.
So
where they were holding money in their breasts as well.
So you've got much footage of this.
I do.
And I've seen more and more of this, and it's disgusting, and it gets pretty provocative. Now, what the song he was dancing to, what are the lyrics to that? Let's go ahead
I guess I just played it. Okay. My pussy good, pussy sweet, pussy good enough to eat. Pussy good, and it repeats, and
it's
pussy.
Hence the cat head. Obviously, they were talking about a cat.
Right. F me all night, pussy. I mean, it was raunchy stuff.
See, and this is being done in front of kids. Now, there are people who say, all you do is bring this up so you can joke about it. I'm not joking about it.
Oh.
This is not a joke.
No.
This is not a joke. This is wreaking havoc on the minds of our children. This is bad. You want to go out there and you want to play games as an adult, we've talked about that, you go do that. But this right here, so this is drawing your video. Thank you for doing it. Thank you for going undercover. You've done it many, many times now. Taylor Hanson's done it as well. Numerous people have done it. But you're bringing it to light. You've got an organization that you've started that's coming. I don't know how much we can say at this point.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just waiting for the website to be live so I can direct people there.
Direct people there.
Yeah, but let me just. I'm not going to mince words here. We have started a special project with a nonprofit, and we will stop this from happening in Texas.
It's going to stop.
We will make sure that this doesn't happen in Texas. And then once we've tackled Texas, I do plan to move nationwide and start chapters nationwide to shut this shit down in this country.
Because I give zero shits anymore. I don't care if it hurts your feelings. I don't care. And see, here's the thing. I can look at something. This is what I woke up this morning. You showed me the video this morning. You sent it to me.
Yeah.
This is, you sent it to me the other day when you had it, but this was your edited clip.
Right.
The one that got released for national, exposure and publication. But here's the thing. I was thinking about it this morning. I thought it's okay for us as patriotic Americans that love freedom and love liberty and have values. It's okay for us to look at something in these days and say that is morally wrong. See, there's no such thing as amoral. I mean, morality is not a vacuum that where just nothing exists and maybe, how you feel at any given time, well, that's your morality. It's just simply not the case. We've bought into this your truth or my truth culture, and that's not a thing. There is objective truth. There is objective morality. There are convictions, and it's okay for you to have convictions and look at something and say that's immoral. That's wrong. And it's okay for you to point it out and say this has got to stop. That doesn't mean you hate the person who's doing the activity.
Right. Nor does it mean that you're scared of them.
Doesn't mean you're afraid of them. Doesn't mean that you want to cancel them. You want to stop this activity. You want to have drag shows at your drag bars and in these places. You want to go do that? Fine. I don't want to be included in it. I don't want it to be at my local restaurant.
Right.
I don't want to. You, Alex Stein, and I. We went out last night and had a quick dinner, and I was walking through some. We were walking through some restaurants. There was a group of them together, and I thought, at what point in time is it going to come when we have to stop and go? Can we patronize this place? Can we even give them support? Because I don't want to have to think like that. What ideologies am I supporting?
Right.
By even giving these places my business. I don't want to have to think about that.
Right.
I shouldn't have to.
Which, by the way, this was for those who live in the area who want to make sure that they don't patronize this place. It was ebb and flow at the shops at Legacy, which, again, it's like, this is completely intentional. The fact that these are popping up this is like suburbia. right? This is the middle of suburbia, where you wouldn't expect. It's a place that leans red, I think would be putting it mildly. And still, this is happening there. It's completely intentional bringing it into the suburbs.
Yeah.
So, and by the way, you know, I get really tired of people who say, you know, you claim to be for parental rights. You claim to be for parental rights. Well, why don't you just let parents parent their children the way that they want to and leave them alone? Isn't that what you want? Well, sure. But when we're talking about child abuse, it kind of changes things, because never would I say, yeah, I'm for a parent hitting their child. Yeah, I'm for a parent mentally abusing their child. Yeah. This is the exact same thing. There are laws against that. So it blows my mind that society has degraded so far that we actually have to defend our position that this is child abuse and it should stop.
When I was a small boy, just a young lad, just 3 years old, about the age of this child here, I remember going into the pediatrician's office and I had bruises all over my legs. Mm-hmm. And my doctor said, how'd you get these bruises? And my mother started to say something. He said, I didn't ask you. Uh-huh. I asked him. Mm-hmm. And it was from playing. I mean, it was from, doing what boys do. And, but I always remember that. My memories go way, way back.
Yeah.
But I remember that doctor saying, didn't ask you, asked him. Mm-hmm. Is that stepping on parental rights, or is that protecting a child?
Right.
And see, that's what we've gotten into. We've gotten into this sense of moral relativity, that I can't speak out to anything because I might infringe on somebody's feelings or their sense of right and wrong. Well, screw that.
Well, right. And I mean, it just shows you how far society has fallen, that this is the conversation that we're having, whether or not, I mean, take the Roanoke one, for instance, because I was at that one too, and we talked about it. And it was billed as family friendly. And there were, the outfits, they were covered to a certain extent, right? The outfits were more covering, less revealing. But the grinding and the sexual, type of dancing was still an issue. And now we're having the conversation of whether or not that's appropriate for children.
Yeah.
Because it's family friendly and it's not sexual. It's like, this is how sexualized our entire country is, that they don't even understand that they're sexualizing children because they're so desensitized to it.
And I'll go one step further. This neither really here nor there, but I'll just remind everybody, there's been certain venues that have booked me to come in and do shows, and I find out that they were planning or having family-friendly drag shows, and I've been like, nope, we're not going to do that. Right. So that not only took money out of my pocket, but it took money out of other people's pocket, people that work for me, things like that. So again, now you have to you have to think about all of these things, because again, you vote with your pocketbook, you show it with your support or your non-support, but the bottom line is these children. So we're working with legislators.
Yes.
We're working with people behind the scenes. You just got a phone call from a national television show. It's pretty exciting. I don't know if you want to say it or not, but
well, I mean, this is what day are we on?
This is Wednesday, so when are you going on the show?
Tonight.
Okay, so this was last night. Yeah. You were on Tucker Carlson.
Yeah.
So
we don't know how that's going to end up. I guess you'll know by now, but I don't know.
Yeah.
I might
told you we wait till the
it.
dust is settled.
Yeah. But I've also phone call from national news. Also legislators who are like, give me all of the details because I'm filing legislation to make sure that this doesn't happen. So, you can talk about us trying to, I don't know, we're not the ones who are on the ground holding up protest signs. No, I mean, I'm just getting shit done.
Yeah.
So,
well, and I mean, we could be sitting here on this show talking about any other frivolous thing. We could be talking about our friend who had to wrestle fat people on an airplane, which great exposure for that, but yeah, the good Dr. Watson. But I'm more interested in protecting children.
Right.
Right. And people people on our side that want to say,
kills me.
Well, we don't see you out there holding posters. Yeah, no shit. Because you know what? Under y'all's watch, the proliferation of this crap in Texas communities and suburbs has gotten worse. So we're actually taking the fight to them in some other ways. And so, you know,
and let me just say, if that is how you choose to do it, then that is your choice. And thank you for trying to get active in some way.
Yeah.
But I'm saying, don't come at me because I'm choosing a different path.
You're doing it away. I'm using my platform to do it.
Right.
You know, I take the crap from the Riris out there for putting it out there. I'm bringing exposure to it.
Right.
You're providing the content to expose. So listen, don't bring if you claim to be a conservative and a value driven person, don't bring your freaking fight at us.
Yeah, we're on the same team, or at least we're trying to be.
You're directing your energy in the wrong freaking place.
Right.
So anyway, if you go to the section of your local clothing store where the he/hims shop, you might notice that the price of boxer shorts have gone through the roof, and to make matters worse, the material's cheap. The brands are run by a bunch of social justice warriors, and you don't want blisters on your hoo-ha, boys. Some of that stuff. That's why I quit wearing underwear. Thankfully, I discovered Undertack. They're the only brand that's literally been battle-tested by special forces, the greatest boxers ever made. Folks, you heard me talk about it. They cover all the bases. High-quality material that's antibacterial, anti-pelling, and moisture-wicking. And you're going to stay fresh and dry all day long. They come with sturdy yet comfortable extra-wide waistband, and the fly doesn't pinch your business. Undertack is durable, ultralight, fade-resistant, shrink-resistant. Here's the best part. They're almost 30% less than the competition. Undertack is the way to go. So go to getundertack.com. That's getundertack.com. 20% off site-wide with the offer code CHAD20. Satisfaction guaranteed or your money back. If this isn't enough, Undertack donates a portion of its profits to veteran-run organizations that are actively fighting human trafficking. Get Undertack, that tack on the end, that's TAC. Getundertack.com. Use promo code CHAD20. We'll be right back. You know, this one picture where you got this redneck group of people with the girls with the thing up their rear end holding the Trump flag.
Yeah,
you know?
I hate that.
That's the one picture that anybody can find where the kids are holding up the middle finger. They use that picture over and over and over again. They're like, oh, here you go. You found one picture.
Right.
You literally have hours of footage from this stuff. We've got clip after clip, picture after picture, all of this stuff. How can you come on there and try to make this a partisan issue? How can anybody jump on there? I mean, what is wrong? What is absolutely freaking wrong with you?
They've become so tribalistic that they think that they're owning you by saying, well, what about this? And it's like, yeah, I also agree that that's bad too. Next question.
Yeah.
So are you saying that we can actually do something about the sexualization of children now, or what?
Exactly.
Did you think this was a gotcha?
Yeah.
It's the same thing whenever, you talk about all of these events and you talk about grooming and they're like, oh, well, what about the churches? And it's like, yes, I also agree that that's bad. I think the sexualization of children is bad. This isn't a partisan issue for me.
I've called it out. I've said, I've called it out. I've said, I don't care if it's the Boy Scouts. I don't care if it's the schools. I don't care if it's the churches.
Right.
I don't care what it is.
Right.
We're calling it all out.
Right.
I need tequila.
God. Thank God.
Sarah.
Please.
We start too early on this show.
It's been a hell of a 24
Tell me about
hours.
It. You've been sitting over there. Again, we taped this. This was taped yesterday.
Yeah.
You're over there. Your phone is blowing up.
Blowing up.
With,
I can't keep up with it.
National news and legislators. And this is what you wanted, Sarah.
It is. It is. And you know what? I hope that a lot of people are like, oh, you just do this for the clicks, or you just no, actually, I would love it if I never had to post another one of these in my entire life because they were finally banned, which is what they should have already been. Yeah. So I would love that. I would love that. I would love for us to launch this organization that we're about to launch and like very quickly have nothing to do, anymore because we've accomplished our goal.
Yeah.
That would be great.
I don't get it. They have been turned over to a based mind, bottom line. They have just been turned over.
Yeah.
I mean, you read Romans 1, and you're going on Steve Deace's show. I mean, he's always talking about Romans 1. You read Romans 1, it's like they've exchanged. They've exchanged normal passions for lusts of the flesh and these things that are out there. And it's like, it's as perverted as it can be at this point.
Yeah. And they're so, again.
And God gave them over.
And again, they're so desensitized that they don't even think that it's perverted.
Yeah. No, they don't. And they'll justify
it's totally normal.
In the name of inclusivity and acceptance.
Yes, yes.
It's all about, you're a bigot if you call that out. Okay.
Right. Right. Oh, and by the way, for anyone who is upset, I always have the leftists who go, well, did you get permission from this parent to film their child and post it? It's like, hey, asshole, first of all, if that's what you're concerned with, you've got things completely twisted. And second of all, it's public and you don't have to get permission. That's how the law works.
Right. Yeah.
I feel sorry for the kid. I really do. But my point has to be made by showing the look on her face.
Yeah.
That is the entire point.
Yeah. And every time this thing comes out, you keep hoping that the community that person exists in, whether it's their neighbors or their family or their church or whoever, is going to step up and say, is this you?
Right. Right.
Aren't you ashamed of yourself?
This child is being put in danger by her parents, not by me exposing her parents' debauchery on the internet.
Right.
Let's get that straight.
Yeah. Exactly.
It's unbelievable.
Anyway. So let's go back to some clips from the weekend.
Are we done being angry or are we still going to be angry?
I don't know. Do you want to cuss a little more?
Kind of.
Get it all out?
Well, I mean, I'm drinking tequila now.
So. Well, I'm glad you're doing what you do.
I appreciate it.
And it's valued. And
you help. I mean, you're helping in this fight as well.
No,
so.
The exposure is huge. I mean, I was running through Instagram and I saw David Harris Jr. He shared the clip and he shared your Instagram deal. And so I love seeing influencers that are out there who have a reach who are actually willing to step up and say, this is disgusting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So that's why we do what we do.
That is why I took time away from my babies and my family to go do that. I just need others to do the same.
Yeah, that was Saturday, not Sunday.
It was Saturday.
Saturday, because you got out of your house while Alabama was losing to Tennessee, and I think that's why you did it, honestly.
Boy, I needed to get out of that house.
Since your husband's an Alabama grad.
Yeah, it was a rough day.
Yeah.
There was lots of hat throwing. and changing of shirts, because that's what he does when they start losing. He's very superstitious and he'll go change his shirt.
Really?
Yeah. It wasn't the shirt. Spoiler alert. It wasn't the shirt.
It wasn't the shirt.
No. But to your point that you made earlier, the previous one that I went to in Roanoke, I believe, was on a Sunday.
It was on a Sunday. And then there was, of course, the one down in Katy that was the church deal. Mm-hmm. It was hosted by a church. Mm-hmm. You're seeing more and more of that happening.
Yes.
And it's one thing for these people for the drag queens or these quote unquote pastors to do these things at churches or these events and stuff. These organizers to do it. I just can't get over the parents who take their children to it.
Which is why it's not about parental rights and everything about protecting children from abuse.
And the other thing I don't understand. Oh, excuse me. It's a long night, sir. Yeah, it's just you.
Okay.
The thing about that whole, it's like, I guess if you'll get your kids' gender changed,
right,
and block their hormones because they're feeling, let's talk about that. So we were at dinner last night. Let's throw Alex Stein under the bus. You get to talking to Stein.
He is so funny.
And there's some stuff that comes out of that boy's mouth where you're like, yeah, he's probably right. He was talking about, he's like, they give all these vaccines to kids. And when they're babies, and he goes, they pull stuff, there's
aborted fetal cells.
There's fetal cells, and there's all this kind of stuff. They're extracting stuff from females. They're extracting stuff from males, and then they're pumping it in, whether they're male or female. And he says, who knows what we're plugging these kids with?
Right.
And maybe that's why we're having this transgender thing going on, because we've been pumping them full of all these chemicals. Yeah, maybe. Maybe it's the steroids in the chicken. Maybe it's the processed food. Maybe it's the microplastics. Mm-hmm. Maybe
it's just bad parenting.
Maybe it's the vaccines.
Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe it's the parents with their weird Riri ideas. It ain't climate change. I can tell you that.
Can you prove it?
Yeah.
Are you sure?
1,000% I can.
Okay.
Yeah, because you see the headlines. We've had a cold snap here in Texas.
Yeah.
Right? It's starting to get cold all over the country now. And it feels fantastic here, like it's 53 degrees. It ain't zero like it is in Minnesota, but people are like, oh my God, it's getting cold now. Well, I guess, okay, so the warming part, I guess, is not,
Right.
Do we have to, Joe Biden, do we need to dim the sun?
Right.
Because he talked about putting the particles in the lower atmosphere to dim the sun.
What could possibly go wrong doing that?
Yeah, I mean, they're trying to kill all of us.
Yes.
At this point. They want us all dead. I was having a conversation last night after I left you. I was talking to CJ, and I was like, look, we're all headed to nuclear war anyway. She's like, but not really.
You're like,
and I said, no, like actual.
Yes,
and she was
really.
like, well, they can't bomb anything but like Alaska. And I was like, they don't bring the missiles over on a boat and set them up like a landmine. No, they're intercontinental ballistic missiles.
Right.
They launch them into space and drop them on your head.
Right.
She's like, they can reach. I was like, yeah, they sure can. They sure can. Like the entire globe. She goes, how far can they
God
go?
bless
Like
her.
the entire globe. Like they could send it around the globe and bomb the shit out of themselves if that's what they wanted to do.
Oh man.
That's yeah. She's like, but they wouldn't do that, right? I was like, oh yeah, they will because they want us all gone.
Right.
She goes, but doesn't that harm the elites too? I don't know, does it?
Yeah.
We won't be here to find out where they were.
Right.
You know,
right.
they're like,
in their
hey,
bomb shelter.
You know, oh, we're all going to go to Davos and the rest of the world's going to blow up. And then, as I've said for years, they'll have their private island, except it'll be the globe. Mm-hmm. It'll be the globe. Because they don't care about climate change. If they cared about climate change, they wouldn't be flying to Davos in their private jets.
Right.
They wouldn't be in their super yachts. They don't
wouldn't
care
be
about that.
buying
That's
up
the
land.
excuse.
Buying up land.
Exactly.
On the shore.
In Martha's Vineyard.
Yeah.
They don't care about climate change.
Yeah.
That's just the Riri battle cry so they can control the sheep and change your life and ultimately make your way of living, your quality of living crappy. So you live a miserable life and you welcome death when it comes.
Right.
You're basically at a point of saying they want to make you depressed. They want to make you miserable. They want to make you question your identity and who you are. They want to make you insecure. They want to pump you full of drugs. They're not about healing you. They're about managing your sickness so that you live, but you live miserably. And so you welcome death. You get to a point where you're like, I don't want to be alive anymore. Yeah. How many times you hear people say, well, I don't want to live to be 100.
Right. I've
been miserable my whole life. I think about how bad I'm going to feel when I'm 100.
Lord, put me out of my misery before then.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so now I'm sitting there going, and then you go to the grocery store. They got a whole shelf of crap up there that says organic. It's effing organic. It all came out of the ground.
Well, it also, what the screwy thing about the term organic is that you're allowed to qualify your food as organic even if it has certain chemicals sprayed on it.
Yeah.
It just has to be a list of other alternative chemicals.
I have a friend, I won't say who, he's in the southern part of the United States. He was like, look, I was a part of that whole organic movement when it started from the business side of things. He goes, it's the biggest farce ever fabricated and propagated on the American people to charge more for this. He goes, they grew in the same field. You got this field over here, this field over here. You put it on a different truck. This is designated organic.
And they're still spraying it with substances.
Exactly.
Yeah. It's just a list of approved substances.
Organic.
But then it's like...
And then you go into the grocery store and every 30 minutes the mister goes off that puts wax on your fruit. And your vegetables. And you're like, oh my God, only shop organic. And you go in Whole Foods, and those people are one freaking bite away of granola away from death. They look jaundiced walking through there in their masks. It's like, but we're healthy.
Yeah.
Oh my God, you're gaunt. You can't even stand up straight. You're literally on death's door.
The bunch of men really concerned with organic foods, but ingest so much soy and have no idea what it's doing to their hormones.
No clue about it. Exactly. God. We could talk about this for a while.
We could.
Hey, listen to what the farmers are saying, though, folks. They're warning you about the widespread food shortages ahead, and we're not ready for it. You're not. Go to preparewithchad.com right now. Get 20% discounts on the must-have 3-month emergency food kit. And listen, it's not because you're paranoid or crazy. It's because you're prudent and prepared. My Patriot Supply, they've got that 20% discount going on right now for a limited time on their 3-month emergency food kit. Here's the deal. You get the kit. It's got breakfast, lunch, dinner, drinks, snacks. 2,000 calories a day for every member of your family. But you got to get one kit per family member. And it'll feed you for 3 months, okay? Preparewithchad.com. Get the 20% savings just by going there and ordering. That's all you got to do. It's affordable. And it's going to be very much worth it when the day comes. And trust me, the day is coming. Preparewithchad.com. That's preparewithchad.com. We'll be right back. All right, welcome back. The couch is conspicuously empty. So I'm going to wax eloquent. Folks, sometimes it seems to me that the overwhelming driving force of thought in America is Let's just drive this thing until the wheels fall off. No need for maintenance, no need to try to take care of it or anything like that. The dealer's warranty's out. And as soon as this thing we share called a country crumbles into the dust, well, we'll just get a new one. No problem. Our credit's good, right? Right? You and I understand that, as with most things in life, there is a time and a place for violence. There is a certain subset of possible scenarios throughout the course of one's day wherein it might be necessary and even good to commit violence on another human being. And we also know that the overwhelming majority of the time, violence is not only isn't a good solution to a situation, it is in fact the worst solution. And I want to highlight an instance of that for you right now, to highlight the contrast. Let's take a little journey of the mind to Mankato, Minnesota, where a couple of weeks ago a woman was stabbed and beaten nearly to death for, get this now, wearing an American flag T-shirt. Now let's take a second right there for some inner thought, contemplation. I don't know about you, but I would never think about bringing a knife to a fight with a person wearing an American flag T-shirt. Why? Because that's a person who's quite likely probably packing a fair bit of heat beneath that shirt. Logic, people. But apparently this guy got lucky, because he was the only one dishing out any pain that particular day. Now, this particular example of freshly lain and fragrant dog shit is a young man saddled with the almost appropriate name of Paul Peter Jal. That's J-A-L, one letter away from jail. And this coward, who has no problem beating and stabbing an innocent woman who literally did not know him and did nothing to him, this guy has been in and near jail a lot, yet strangely keeps getting put back out on the streets. Weird, huh? Now, I want you to understand something. This woman was beaten so badly, when the police found her, they couldn't even see her eyes. He tore a towel rack out of a wall and stabbed her with it. That's even dumber than a knife, honestly. They found not one, but a couple of broken phones near her because she had tried to call the police more than once with her phone and somebody else's, and he kept breaking them. So you get the picture? This is a human being who's acting like an animal. And apparently the law hasn't found it necessary at this point to either exterminate or permanently lock up the animal. It isn't as if this is a one-off. This guy's been committing all sorts of violent crimes since at least 2019, has been in police chases, plural chases, and endangered a ton of lives in the process. And now maybe he'll face some justice for what he's been doing. Maybe. Folks, I tell you all this, as I said, to contrast not only against the nature of those who must do violence in the service of justice and freedom, but also to contrast against the nature of those of us who simply want to live in a free and law-abiding society. This is the kind of thing that we simply cannot allow to go on. I want you to imagine for a minute that this unnamed victim was your mother, your sister, your wife, your daughter. Okay, depending on the day, maybe don't think of the wife, right? Just leave that one out. But seriously, put yourself in the position of having to face the fact that for no good reason, someone did this kind of thing to someone you love and care about. America goes through phases, both nationally and on a state-by-state basis, where we are tougher or easier on crime. Right now, and for the past couple of years, ever since the beginning of the pandemic, it seems like dealing with violent crime has become a bit of a back burner issue. After all, we've got to be focusing on Drag Queen Story Hour. Plus, you have nonprofit organizations bailing out people like this dude all the time. It's a dangerous, largely unexamined precedent, and in the current atmosphere, it's leading to unnecessary pain and suffering. Paul Peter Jal either needs to find himself in a cage for the rest of his life or at the short end of a rope. And I hate to end this on a cliche, but rope is awfully cheap. You know, we live in, as I said earlier, we live where you have moral relativity. You know, there's no one to build morals into young people anymore. By and large, our culture has gotten fatherless, increasingly fatherless. There has been an attack on the nuclear family. The home has been destroyed. Your truth has replaced objective truth. There's no standard for right and wrong. People talk about evil. They don't even know what evil is because they have no standard for good. If you don't have a God, you don't have a standard for good, because then good is relative to however you feel at any given moment. So that's why people can go out and commit acts of violence. They can smash and grab. They can take your things, break into your homes. They can have Drag Queen Story Hour. They can have dancing provocatively and sexually and perversely in front of children, and it's all relatively good in their minds because they have no standard. There's no conscience anymore. There's nothing that says this is wrong for you to be doing this. Now, you would think that the consequences that these types of actions lead to would be something that would be a deterrent to this type of behavior. But the problem is, this day and age, we've removed the consequences. There are no consequences for these actions. And that's the problem. So you have a president who can destroy a nation, who can say, while we're in the middle of a recession, that recession is not probable. And they could change the definition of things because there's nobody there to hold them accountable while people are quite literally starving to death, losing their homes, can't drive, can't transport themselves, can't even get to work, much less hold a job because they can't afford to anymore. There's no accountability. There's no consequences for the people at the pinnacle of leadership in this country that we have held on to as a bastion of freedom and an example of liberty and success and prosperity to the rest of the world now for over 200 years. We're the capitalists, right? We're the only capitalistic experiment that's truly worked for this long. Every other country in the world has tried all these other nefarious examples of economics and even governance, whether it's socialism or communism or dictatorship or monarchies. We're the capitalists. We're the ones who claim to have a constitutional republic. And those principles that are laid out in that come with a set of consequences. But when you remove the consequences, there's nothing left. There's nothing left to hold on to that says this is what's going to keep the car in the lane. There's no guardrails anymore. We've removed all of those. But what we fail to understand is that whether you choose to believe it or not, outside those guardrails is a very, very steep precipice that we are flirting with falling off of consistently and getting more and more reckless in the way we're approaching every turn. I love this country. I do. I love the history of this country. I love what we've been through. You know, they say that scars are sexy, and we've got our scars, that's for sure. And the reason we can say that about America is that our scars are supposed to teach us some things. They're supposed to remind us of the stuff we did wrong in our history and how we can do it better. But see, we don't even want to look at the scars anymore. We want to vilify the scars and say, oh no, even they are evil. Well, they're not. They're reminders. They're reminders of things that we did wrong and the things that should keep us from doing wrong in the days ahead. But instead, we're creating a whole new set of really bad principles that have really dangerous consequences, and it's scary. It's scary, folks. So what do? Well, I've told you this over and over again. You got to be more like a Sara Gonzales, who's willing to speak truth in the darkness, shine light in evil places, who sacrifices time and energy and money and effort and comfort in order to bring certain things to light and expose them and use a platform. You look at what we could have all done. We could all use a large social media platform to just make money, to make people laugh, to sell tickets, to sell T-shirts, to sell hats, to sell the trinkets, all of these things. But instead, there are those of us out there who are willing to continue to speak the uncomfortable truths in a world that believes relativity and inclusivity and acceptance is the be-all, end-all. To believe that there are no consequences when someone goes out there and beats the garbage out of somebody in the middle of the street. Why? Why did they do it? Why? Why the wild animal instinct to just attack somebody and almost kill them? Why the violence? Why these things? Why? Because we haven't spoken that truth. We haven't put that light into that darkness. We haven't spoken about those consequences. And you know what? There's a risk to all of that. And the consequences of us continuing to speak these things and use these platforms and call out the evil that is among us means the evil is going to come for us. And we're willing to stand in that gap. We need you to stand with us, though. We need you to support us and hold our arms up when we have the opportunity to do it. We're trying to hold yours up. We need that in return. So when we come to you and we appeal to you and we say, hey, help us do this, whether it's a subscription here or there or a promotion or something as simple as a share on social media or press like, that little thumbs up button right there, that little thumbs up right there. All you got to do is hit that button. It helps get this message further into the world, and it penetrates deeper. Jesus called his disciples and his followers. He said, you're a key. He said, you are salt. He said, you are light. He said, you are bread. All of these examples that he used to describe his followers, all of those have to be agents of penetration. The key doesn't unlock the door unless it penetrates the lock. The salt has to penetrate the food. The light has to penetrate the darkness. The bread has to penetrate the body in order for it to be a nourishment. Help us be agents of change by further penetrating the darkness, folks. You've got the ability to help us do that. Hang tight. We'll be right back. Oh, you know I miss Anthony Fauci. I want to see that guy on TV every day. That's what I want to see. That's the issue, what I'm talking about in the last segment. We're making the wrong people famous. We're celebrating the wrong people, man. I want Sarah, I'll say this because she's not in the room, and she doesn't watch this show. I want Sarah to get all the success in the world for what she's doing. I do. I hope she gets a ton of it. And because she's the right person. She's got the right perspective, and man, she's smart, and she just gives it no shits. Zero shits. She's willing to stand in that gap for these kids, and I'm proud of her. We got a couple of clips I want to go to that we didn't get to. That very first one, the Biden economist. You got that clip there, Mark? Let her rip.
Yeah, I'm just curious, and a lot of Americans are curious, when the so-called Inflation Reduction Act will really start to bring down inflation.
So the many parts of the bill will start to take effect next year. For example, there are tax credits for energy to help people weatherize their homes and also bring down other forms of energy costs. So we are focused on helping to make that transition to clean energy in a way that brings down energy costs for families.
Okay. Let me explain the logic to you, boys. All right, here's what they're going to do. You're going to save money by spending money. So you're going to have to weatherize your home. You're going to have to get new windows and doors. You're going to have to get new screens. You're going to have to get new roof. You're going to have to spray some new insulation. And what we'll do is we'll give you some credits for that. But you're going to have to basically rebuild your house. So when they came out with the Green New Deal, when they came out with this idea a couple of years ago, and they were talking about a $91 trillion infrastructure overhaul, basically you're going to have to tear all the buildings down in America. You're going to have to retrofit them all to make them, sustainable for green energy and environmentally friendly. So that's what they're saying. This is all about, and more reporters, quote unquote, reporters are asking the Biden administration, so when do we start feeling the effects of this Inflation Reduction Act? And they all say, oh, well, as soon as you guys start doing something next year, like, winterizing your homes and weatherizing and weather stripping and caulking your houses, making sure there's no cracks and no leaks, you know what? Then you're going to feel it because we're going to incentivize you there. So your bills are going to come down because, your energy costs won't be so high. And we're going to give you a little credit in regards to that. The other day, I had to book a flight because I got a show coming up in Everett, Washington. So I booked a flight from Houston to Seattle, nonstop, and a round trip. And it was a pretty expensive plane ticket, quite honestly. And they said, if you'll apply for the United Airlines credit card, we'll take $300 off of this ticket. Now, I've always been an American Airlines person, and I've always had an American Airlines card that I use specifically for business. And I was like, you know what? I'm down in the Houston area now. I'm going to buy this. I'm going to get this credit card, right? For United Airlines, because United, that's a hub out of Houston, so I use them a lot more. And so I applied for the credit card. Do you think they took the $300 off the plane ticket? You think they did? They did not. Now, I applied for it while I was buying the plane ticket. They did not. They said, we're going to give you credit. That's not what you advertised. That's not what the Biden administration advertised either. With this Inflation Reduction Act. That's not what they advertised. When they sit there and say, well, we're going to give you credits, you're not getting jack. You're not getting anything, man. What they're trying to get you to do is all the heavy lifting so that their little green climate change deal can be further put into effect, and then you've got yourself in a situation where you can't get out of it. So now, you are getting nothing. This administration has promised you things over and over again with Build Back Better, and you are not building back anything, much less building it back better. You're not. The only thing that's going to get built back in any different way is when you do the building, and if you think you're going to get the credit for it, you're not. Because big government is going to make all the promises in the world, and they're not going to deliver on that. They did it to dupe you. They did it to dupe you. They got you in there to believe their deal. You voted for it. You agreed with it. And now you're going to get nothing for it. Right now, mark my words, with a minute left in this particular segment, you mark my words when I say, by the end of the Biden administration, 2 more years from now, by the end of the Biden administration, you will be worse off than you are right now if we are just left to this administration's policies and bureaucratic decisions. You will be worse off. Something better happen November 8th at this midterm election. Something better happen drastically. But then we're still going to have a lame duck president if the Republicans take the House. But nonetheless, left to this administration's policies and ideologies, we will be worse off in 2 years. Why? Because they promised credits, and those credits will never come. Hang tight. We'll be right back. All right, folks, a very special thanks to my very best friend, Sara Gonzales, the host of the news and Why It Matters. Support her. Please support her. Something as simple as subscribing to her YouTube channel, Sara Gonzales Unfiltered, or shopping at Shop Sarah G for her merchandise, or going and buying makeup from AmericanBeautyBySarah.com. Remember, Sarah has no H in it. American Beauty by Sarah. If you put an H in the .com, then you're going to have to stay ugly. All right. That's just the deal. So support her because she's out there supporting you. She's fighting for you. And she's very passionate about this. And I'm happy to call her my friend. WatchChad.com is where all the fun stuff is. Please come see us. If you're in East Texas, Lindale, Texas, at Brisket Love. That's Miranda Lambert's place. We're going to be over there Tuesday night. Full band rocking and rolling with the Ragamuffins. And then comedy show, just me. I'm coming all by myself to Everett, Washington. Going to get on that stage for 90 minutes and bore the hell out of all of you folks. But we're going to have a good time doing it. So please get your tickets and come see us. Tons of other dates coming up. Greensboro, North Carolina, Spring, Texas, Greenville, South Carolina, Port Charlotte, Florida. And do not forget, subscribe to BlazeTV.com/Chad. Use promo code Chad. We'll see you tomorrow night. Bye.